This episode of Rice and Beans is brought to you by Jovo Motorsports in the City of Industry, California. All right, listeners, welcome back to the Rice and Beans podcast. As always, this is Nate, the Beans.
And I'm Jimmy, the Rice.
And you know what? We have a special guest with us today. We're adding some black beans to this dish. I'd like to welcome with us today, Ryan Shift Robinson.
How are you guys doing?
How's it going, Ryan?
Pretty good. Happy to be here, guys. Thank you.
Happy to have you here with us today.
Wow, so this is the first time that we merged two shows into one episode. Yeah. And you might ask, why is Ryan in the studio today? Because this episode is all about the seminar that we had for Sociology of Everything. We had great success with that. Big turnout for your particular seminar as well, Ryan. So why don't you walk us through what happened and your thought process? And maybe tell our viewers a little bit about what the seminars are.
Sure, definitely. So I hosted one of them in particular. It was the fundamentals of car control. And we had numerous seminars as well, but that in particular was mine for me to host. And I have some thoughts and feelings over just what I felt about it. Initially, nervous, of course, a little anxious. I didn't know what our audience looked like. I didn't know who was listening. I had no idea who would show up. Yeah. So initially, I'm like, well, I just hope this works. I try not to be overly confident because I don't want to assume that nobody knows anything about driving. But I also didn't want to undershoot because I know that just based on we go on drives, we go to track days, there's people that come up to us asking questions. So I figured somewhere in the middle, we'd have something. And then during when we were the day of, the turnout was great. And it turns out I've met one of the individuals, and we'll get into that in a bit, but he brought all of his friends, and it was really humbling to see that people were there not only to support but to listen. Yeah. And afterwards, the satisfaction. It was I can't really describe how happy that makes me, mainly because I'm just like with coaching, I'm the type of person that my goal isn't to make you the fastest driver, the best driver. It's all about catering to their specific needs as to what are they looking to get out of it. Maybe they want to just learn how to be safer. Maybe they want to go faster. Maybe they just want to drive their car. Maybe they just want to exist and see what it's like. So I like that I'm able to fine tune it for them.
Yeah. Wow. I love that. And I remember that when you were giving the lecture, me and Nate were in the back of the room and Nate turned around and said, what a nice picture to see.
Yeah.
What a heartwarming scene to see.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I couldn't tell you were nervous. So you played that off pretty well.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. And it, and it was cool because like you said, you kind of don't always know what everybody exactly wants to get out of it, but I think everyone walked away as a more confident driver. And I think that's like the ultimate goal, just to be more confident behind the wheel, whether somebody's fast or not or whatever. Just when you're more that's going to make you faster anyway.
Yes.
But just to walk out of that seminar confident and to want to go to do track days, which we'll get into in a bit because many people that were there decided, to start doing some track days. So it was pretty cool to see that. But yeah, it was a great experience just seeing that the whole group of people take it in and see how many questions they had and all the feedback, and everyone was just so attentive to what you had to say. So it was pretty cool to see that.
I personally had a really bad experience with a pretty bad coach, and that turned me away from track days a few years ago. So it really makes me happy to see that we can provide a good experience for so many people who are new to this. And I remember you were telling me that some of these people also joined the 86 Cup.
Yes. So funny story about this. The one individual I mentioned, I guess how he met me was through my social media. So I have a YouTube channel, and it's I'm just showing my journey along the way with my GRD6, but he also has a BRZ. And what resonated with him is just doing track days in a stock class, like really simple, basic setup, but just driving the car, right? And then I put out a video talking about my test driving days, just talking about what it was like the past 10 plus years that I was there. And then he decided to message me. He sent me a DM and he said, this really resonated with me. I'm an ADAS engineer with Mazda. And then we just started chatting. I was like, oh, that's really cool. It's heartfelt. He really resonated with me. And I also inspired him to want to continue to drive and join 86 Cup. So fast forward a little bit, 2026, doing first round at Streets of Willow. And, meeting people and you're meeting your friends and whatnot. We're getting prepped in the morning and he's like, you look familiar. Have we met? I'm like, I don't think so. I didn't recognize him initially. And then he's like, oh, your shift. I was like, yes. And then I introduced myself. He's like, so I actually signed up for your seminar that's coming up in a week. I was like, oh, okay. What a small world. And then at the moment, I didn't connect the dots that he was the one that had DM'd me that earlier watched my video. So I'm like, the day of, I'm like, oh, it all came together. So it was just a full circle moment to see how I inspired someone to just be curious, to want to do more. And then he resonated with me. He came out to support and he brought all his friends. So a bunch of more 86 and BRZ cars showed up.
Nice.
And it was just really cool to see. And then also more recently, we were all at Vegas. So the funny thing you mentioned was that none of them have driven the track outside of Matthew. So first track day, initially they all signed up right after our seminar. They're like, let's go drive.
Wow.
And they went to Streets and then Vegas was the next step up. And I'm like, wow, you guys are really like diving head first. Yeah. And then I ended up coaching some of them at the day of, and then just seeing all of that put together from when we met to that moment, it like I can see the light bulb go off, but their head explode. They're like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know you could do this with the car." So that was very satisfying for me.
So some of them went out to Vegas also.
I would say all of that group.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's commitment because that's like a 5-hour drive.
It was.
Yeah,
They all got one hotel room and shared, but they committed. It was just nice just to see that they actually followed through, which was great. And they're all such great guys. And, most of them are in engineering or some form of the auto industry, but they took it to heart and we resonated from the seminar forward. And
wow.
And there's more to come. They're hooked now.
Right. Yeah. And then needless to say, thank you so much for you all for attending, coming to our seminars. We really appreciate it. And it's all of your help that we can continue to do this. So I'm eternally grateful.
Yes. And I know some of you guys are listening because you did bring it up the last track day. So thank you guys for the support. It's nice to hear that feedback because a lot of the times I'm sure you guys feel the same. You don't really know who is in your audience, who's actually listening. But then when they start to reach out, and they have been, from the seminar, they were very thankful. From our track day, they were very thankful. And I appreciate the guys that did reach out. So it's nice to know that our work is making an impact.
Yeah, especially when you see it really come to fruition. Like it's one thing to walk out of there maybe more educated as a driver, but to also come out there with enough confidence to go join like a racing series, like the what's it called, the 86 Cup. Mm-hmm. I know like Speed Ventures has like a Corvette challenge, which is similar to that. So to walk out of there, because so many people are intimidated, especially when they're just getting into track days. Not many people go, I'm going to go join a competitive series and score points, so like no one really thinks that way. So to go and be part of a seminar and walk out with that confidence to where you want to put what you just learned into practice on the track. I mean, that's pretty awesome to see that. Like I didn't expect that kind of a turnout, to see those guys on the track.
Me neither, but it was wonderful. And hopefully, as the word spreads, because they're super enthused, I'm sure they're going to tell more friends and then more friends. So it's a great.
Right. And the first time experience is so important. Yes. There are people who say, oh, I hate whiskey or I hate sake. I'm like, you just drink the wrong one. And I, showed them some of the good options and they're like, wait a minute, this is actually not as bad as I thought. Yeah. Maybe it's because I had a bad first experience.
You didn't talk to the right alcoholic, right? So
yes.
Talk to me.
You got to talk to the right car guy that'll put you on the right path.
Yes.
So but that's a nice thing. It's a funny analogy, but that's kind of what the seminars are, right? You're finding the people that are knowledgeable in a particular field that you can take that knowledge from and apply it to yourself. And then the fact that you're kind of catering that to each person's needs. Like I really appreciated the Q&A after, because sometimes you go in a classroom setting and it's like, good luck. I hope you understood it or learned, or you try to read your notes. But when you can say, hey, I have this question, or I think you opened it up to questions on people's particular cars and setups. So now, like, my experience will be different with my car versus someone else driving something else, different. So the fact that they were able to ask those questions and get those answers, I thought that was pretty cool, because it's not every seminar has that one-on-one, even though it's a classroom setting, that one-on-one Q&A. So that was pretty cool to see that too.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
And I think a huge part of what we want to achieve here is to lower the bar of entry. At Porsche Experience Center or even BMW Performance School, you're paying 4 figures for 1 to 2 hours of experience.
Yes.
Not many people can afford that. Yeah. And that is the bar of entry. That's the gatekeeping that you and I, Ryan, that we always talk about in your previous season as well, is that on the journey of learning knowledge, there's so many obstacles.
Yes. And to your note and what Nate, you've mentioned, it's very intimidating, right? And a lot of times, especially with the younger generation, I've noticed they have this want to do something, but they don't know where to start. And they're very shy to even approach people because the gatekeeping, or people are just simply mean. They'll just brush you off and say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Get out of here.
Yeah.
And on that note, one individual reached out prior to our seminar, and he said, hey, I'm signed up for your seminar. I'm really looking forward to meeting you guys because, we made it very casual. It's very small, like kind of quaint, like a hangout session, if you will, but just sharing knowledge. And I'm not expecting them to come in with any kind of knowledge or any kind of expectation. It's really just, hey, just come, show up, and then we'll meet you where you're at.
Yeah.
And so it was very nice for me to see this DM, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is humbling.
Yeah.
Wow. It's amazing. Speaking of bad experiences, I do want to share what happened with me a few years ago.
I want to hear this, yeah.
So I hired this coach from Instagram because his wall looks awesome. So you would think that he's a pretty good instructor. I spent 4 figures, which is a standard rate for like a 1-day track day. So we went to the streets and he just jumped in my car and he said, just do what I say and you'll go fast. And I'll tell you this, he drives a GT3 on the street and also on track. But he was trying to drive my Miata the way that he drives a GT3. Yeah. And that's not going to work. Even the braking, like the line is different. The braking zone is different. He wouldn't tell me what time I was doing because he was like, oh, I don't want time to get in the way of you learning. But then I looked over and he was laughing at my time.
Wow.
And imagine this person who's not that much older than me, right? In his 30s. And I was paying him $1,000 and he was laughing at me. Really? And then he jumped into my car because I couldn't do what he was trying to get me to do. But obviously he was way more experienced than I was. I've never felt rotation like that. So he can jump off the brakes really quickly and rotate the back. But for me, I was scared to death to do that. So if I don't do that, he would say, were you listening? Did you not hear what I just said? Why are you not doing what I said? And he became really aggressive. And when he drove my car, he was like, wow, these brakes suck.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, well, first of all, I have G-Lock, R10 and R8s. Those are the pads compound that Spec Miata uses. So if you think that these suck, well, these are actually the racing pads. Maybe you're comparing it to your AP racing brakes on your GT3. Obviously, they're not going to compare. And he was like, no, I came from a Honda. So I know how low horsepower cars drive. I'm like, well, apparently you don't, right? And then when I talked to some of the Mazda engineers, I was like, are you supposed to drive it this way? Because he was telling me to jam onto the brakes, full like almost ABS, and then boom, just throw into the corner. And the Mazda engineer is like, no, you should not drive a Miata that way. A Miata is a momentum car. You're supposed to be very gentle, very smooth. So And then this guy
Smooth
took
is fast.
yeah.
Yes.
And then this guy took a picture of my car, posted on his Instagram, and said, "I love it when my students came back over and over. Practice makes excellence." And I'm like, "Excuse me, I just met you today."
Your first time there.
I hate people like that.
Well, I think Instagram was the first red flag.
Oh,
And the other red flag is that he's a Porsche driver.
I love it. So you can just tell that, you know, if this is like your first experience, you're thinking, wow, this is what $1,000 gets me. Of course, I'm not going to do this again. So this is partially why I think it's so important that we put on these seminars, not only to have a lower cost, but also to kind of lead by example, showing people that coaching doesn't have to be like that. Because in the car world, there's a lot of ego. We're not one of them.
There is, I hate to say it, but you know, the guys that drive these higher power, more performance cars, whether it's Corvette, whether it's, you know, any GT variant, whether it's, you know, M, doesn't matter. These cars, yes, they're very capable, right? But in the right hands, right? You can very easily wrap it around the tree. We all know that. Same with the Miata. Even if it's not a fast car in comparison on spec on paper, but people still wrap Miatas around trees too, because you don't, the skill level isn't there. The difference is the threshold is pretty low on that car, but it doesn't mean that, like the guy said, he's like, oh, you got to drive it this way. It's my way or the highway. There is no one way to drive any car, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm sure that with your bad experience, that turned you off. And I'm sorry that happened.
Yeah.
I appreciate you saying that, acknowledging the trauma. I once heard a quote, passion is the result of trauma.
I agree with that.
And I have a lot of passion.
That's why I'm so passionate, I guess. We've all been through a lot.
Yeah.
We all have a lot of passions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whatever that says.
Or a lot of trauma.
Right. Because like you see a fitness influencer. Why are they so into fitness? Because they were bullied as kids for being chubby. Right? You had a bad experience being coached on track. That's why I decided to create something that's different.
Yeah. It's also how you take your experience. You know, I've always been a firm believer in, I used to read books by like Phil Jackson, the basketball coach. And he was all about energy and how you can take a negative energy and turn it into a positive. Like in sports, right? You might have a negative energy, but you can have a positive, you can use it to have a positive outcome on the court, on the basketball court, you know? Or if you have positive energy, positive outcomes, you know? So it's all about how you use the energy that comes in. So you taking a trauma and saying, you know what? I'm not going to let that like hold me back. It's going to make me, if that guy wants to laugh at me, then I'm going to be better.
Right.
You know? So, but yeah, I don't know how that guy thought he was going to inspire any type of confidence in a new driver, that especially knowing this person wants to learn and they're trusting you enough to pay you. And yet you're like laughing here and you're not really being upbuilding, which is the whole thing of being a coach.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty sad to hear stuff like that, but
Like
that's why I always think that the first step to learning should be a classroom setting. So you have a better understanding of basics before you get out on track.
I agree.
You know, because trying to correct, I don't know if you know, you're the one that does more coaching, but trying to help correct people that lack experience on track, it's a lot more difficult.
Yeah.
Especially if they don't have the knowledge of the physics and how the car works and you know all of that. So being able to sit down in a classroom, understand that first, ask questions based on what you're driving. Now you head to the track with a better understanding of what to expect.
Yes.
So that's what I took out of the seminar.
We also had other seminars like drifting, PPF and wrapping industry, and also insurance, just a whole range of topics. And all of that goes back to our original mission with Sociology of Everything, which is to help the community, doing something meaningful. Because I believe that only tangible actions is a contribution to the community. Yes. There are so many people who talk big, right? There are certain individuals, I'm not going to say who it is, but you've probably guessed there's a lot of them out there, posting footage of people making a mistake. And then they say, oh, well, the reason why we're doing this is because we want to urge people not to go too crazy. It's like, really, you're that noble? And here's the thing though, when you start doing social media stuff, even though we don't have like millions of followers out there, but we all know each other because we're colleagues at this point. I've met many influencers, including the car influencers. And let me tell you from my experience, again, I'm not going to name names, but most of them, if not all of them, are not that noble. And they even admitted to me, it's like, hey, I'm only going to go with whatever that's going to get me views. Whatever that's trendy, right? If there's a trendy music, because you can see the list on Instagram, like which music is trending. You create the content based on what the music is.
Yes.
You create the content based on what is trending at the moment. And they would say anything. They would do anything for the views. So when they say they care about a certain topic, then they would tweak it to that, oh, they care about safety, they care about other drivers, they care about the community. Once that is not hot anymore, they totally reinvent themselves.
Yes.
But that's not what we do.
You know, on that note, because you mentioned just the other seminars, right? So obviously I hosted my own, but I also participated by viewing others. And I have this approach, and I think all of us share this same aspect and views, that we have the student mentality, right? We always want to learn, because I think life as a journey is a lifetime experience, right? We're always going to learn something new. Even about ourselves, we keep evolving. And so sitting down, listening to PPF, listening to the different aspects and the industry of drifting, and then, you know, insurance and all that, I learned so much more, and I was just open to it. I'm like, okay, I drift for fun. I don't compete. Maybe I can learn something, you know. I know a little bit about PPF. I don't know everything about it, but and what I've learned just about the industry and how people go about that in the background was very insightful. And I think these are the things that aren't common knowledge. People don't talk about it, and gatekeep. That's a big thing.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny too when you think about it. Sometimes we'll spend hours like watching YouTube videos trying to learn something. But it's not like you can ask the person really on YouTube, you know, just watching the videos. Like you can ask them questions, or, oh, how did you get this outcome or that, or what should I do? So yeah, nothing beats just being in person and listening and talking to somebody who knows what they're talking about,
Definitely,
you know, and even some topics that you might not think are like, I don't know, maybe car insurance, like how interesting could that be? But then you start listening to all the little details, how it works, collector car insurance, right? Or if you have a higher end car, you know, like what kind of insurance is better for, and you start getting into, you're like, wow, this is really beneficial.
Right.
You know, or drifting is, you know, you watch YouTube videos and it's, oh, do I just pull my handbrake and spin around this corner and hit a tree? Like, no, there's a lot of things into it, you know? So it's always cool to just, well, I'm old school though. Like I like being there in person and listening to somebody and learning. So I don't think that you can ever replace that. You know, videos and stuff like that's all cool and fun, but I don't think anything beats in-person learning.
Absolutely.
Agree.
And there's a lot of topics like drifting or insurance. You wouldn't think that you're interested in it until you hear the lesson and you're like, wow, this is so beneficial to me. Just to give you some context, right? By going with Haggerty Insurance, I actually saved a couple grand.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's
Nice.
something that you wouldn't know until you hear the industry secrets when you get into the seminar.
Yeah.
And, you know, these are the experiences that we want to provide to, you know, all of you guys listening, our supporters, when we have the future rally, as well as for all the plans that we have in store for you all. We want you to benefit from it. And a lot of times, like, you don't know what you don't know until you actually come and learn the knowledge. And you're like, wow, I wish I knew about this earlier.
Yeah. I do use them for track day insurance too.
Nice.
So I'm like, just in case I put this car into the wall, I know next week I can go buy a new one. I'll have a down payment at least for another car. But, you know, one thing I did want to mention is sometimes there's some of these organizations that do track days might have, you know, some limited coaching, right? Because they might only have a couple guys on hand, and you can have, you know, 50 plus cars on tracks. You're not going to be able to coach everybody. But a lot of times, a lot of these organizations already cater to maybe more higher end vehicles. There's some that are like Porsche track days, right? Or BMW track days, or these kind of higher end sports cars. But there's a lot of beginners that don't have that money. You know, they're just starting off in their first car. Maybe it's their daily too. Like they want to go track. And so they're intimidated to sign up with one of these organizations for a track day because it's like, man, I have a BRZ, you know, like what am I going to do in a room full of guys with 911s, you know, and they might feel intimidated and they might not sign up. So to have a classroom setting where it's like, it doesn't matter what you drive. And not just that, but the cars that these, you know, a lot of these were driving, there were some guys with, I think like some Subaru WRX, some BRZs. You know, I was there in my Corvette, so I consider myself a beginner amateur too, you know, but these are more of your average beginner cars that people are going to learn in. And those are the kind of cars you want to learn in because they're more forgiving, your Miatas and these smaller, lower horsepower cars. Like that's what you don't want to start learning on a track day in a GT3 or you know, RS or something. You want to learn in these lower horsepower cars. And so I'm happy that we were able to give, you know, these beginners, so to speak, a place where they can come learn and feel like I fit in. I'm not sitting in like what I don't have a Rolex here in this driver's meeting, you know, I'm not wearing this and that. It's like, we're all here to learn. No one was even talking about what they drive. It's like, hey, I just want to learn car control basics so I can become a better driver. And that having that more like humble setting, I think puts everybody in the better mindset and more open to learning.
Right. That's why I always make sure to wear shorts and t-shirts, right? Because that for me is a very down-to-earth kind of look. And I always tell people that bad guys wear black denim, good guys wear khakis and plaid shirts. So like the plaid flannels, right? That's like the hardworking people, humble people driving BRZ kind of look. And wear that right out here. You don't want to be associating with people who wear like a leather jacket and like a fucking black pants. Those are bad people.
I should have worn my my jean shorts and some New Balance. So, okay, that guy drives a Corvette. Okay.
You can actually buy those shorts on our website right now.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I have to go out and buy a vape then.
You know, right now that you said that, I was at the Grand Prix this weekend, and Golf Racing has a big like little store there. I don't know who buys stuff there, but they have like $400 or $500 leather jackets, you know, say Golf Racing and all these shirts with all the livery and all that stuff. And then my kid, he loves like the Golf livery and cars, and he's like, he looks at the jacket, he's like, man, $500. He's like, who would buy that, Dad? And I didn't say nothing, but in my mind, I'm like, dude, that's a poser jacket, bro. Like, you know, like who's gonna wear a leather Golf? I just probably pissed somebody off that bought one this weekend.
I love it. But you know, at the end of the day, it's really about the why that matters.
Yeah.
There's a lot of businesses out there, and a lot of businesses are making great money. But you know what distinguishes an excellent one from a regular one is that the excellent businesses, they solve a problem. You know, nowadays you see people say like, oh, Amazon FBA or drop shipping makes a lot of money, Bitcoin. And everybody just wants to jump on board. Oh, you made money through that? Let me do the same thing. But very few people, I can name a few actually, Steve Jobs. He saw BlackBerry and all the traditional phones as a problem. He solved that problem by making the phones a giant screen, right? Microsoft, the same thing. There's no good operating system at the time. Elon Musk, there was no good electric cars at the time. If you solve a problem, that's revolutionary. So for me, going back to how I founded Sociology of Cars in the first place, I've always been into driving. But I was not socially active until the recent years. So when I first went up to Good Vibes, to Newcomes on Fridays, at the time I've been watching a lot of YouTube. And there were a couple of channels of, you know, the reviewers driving up and down the mountain reviewing the cars. You probably know who I'm talking about. And at the time I thought, wow, these are the only good drivers out there in the mountains because that's all I see, right? So on my first day to Good Vibes, I was shocked to arrive at a parking lot full of interesting people with interesting cars. And talking to them, I was like, wow, there are so many interesting stories here. Why are these people never featured? I never see any of these people anywhere, even on Motor Trend and Top Gear. That's the source where I would expect to see car stuff, right? And then I made a rationalization. I thought, well, cars is a very expensive hobby and rich people are very discreet about their wealth. Maybe that's why they never put the words out there. And then the sociologist in me says, never rationalize anything because then you forgo like a learning opportunity. Mm-hmm. And then I found the sociology of cars because these are the things that I'm really good at. Cars, sociology, art, and marketing, right? Sociology of cars. And then I also thought, well, if I were to do content, I would make it very sociological. Who drives what car? Is your facial structure, the way you're dressed, associated with your car? Which one comes first? Do you buy the car because you want to match your outfit? Yeah. Or because you become a BMW owner, you just naturally dress a certain way because all your friends are this way? This is the social grouping, right? So I thought, why did nobody create content like this? Let me be the first. So I actually started having people point at 5 different random cars. One of the cars is theirs. And they were just there being like, this is my car, this is my car, this is my car. And I'll have the audience guess which one is actually theirs. And then the second clip following that would be the guy actually telling a little bit of their background. How do they start getting into cars? And then what do they look for in the car? And then what's Canyon etiquette? And then the third one would be a reveal of them give a walk around of their car. And then that transitioned to another season of me actually spinning around the car and asking the audience who would drive this car, describe who the owner could be. And then the second clip is the car just going by and you hear the voiceover of the person talking about their life, where they're at, their mindset. And it's like, okay, now we have a voice and we see the car going by. Do they match? That's interesting. And then we transition to me sitting in the cabin with the guy talking about their life trajectory. And then the final video is we park their car in the public. Nate, you were one of the early participants.
Yeah.
And we have the audience walking by describe who they think would drive a car like this. Mm-hmm. And at the time, at our peak, we were pulling in 3 million views every single month on Instagram.
Wow.
And that's what really put our name on the map, right, initially. So I remember so many people were offering their supercars even on Instagram saying like, hey, can you review ours? Because ours has like the company name on it. And they thought they can write the coattail a little bit. Yeah. So that's how I created the breakfast event. Because some people, they were saying like, hey, I just love the sociology concept, but I never get to talk to you guys. So I thought if we create a breakfast event, then we can see who our supporters are, right? So I showed up to Newcombs and I had a journalist coming to my car as well as a pro driver. You know what they both said to me? They both said to me, and there are 2 separate people, 2 separate days, right? They said to me, Jimmy, thank you so much for asking me questions because at work, everybody treats me like I'm dumb. Even though I know a lot, but they treat me as if I don't know anything. So thank you so much for consulting with me and asking for my opinion.
Wow.
At the time, I was dumbfounded. I was like a pro driver and also a journalist. I look up to journalists. These are like the celebrities in my eyes. So in sociology, there's a theory, sociology of deviance, that says whenever there's something deviant happening, it must mean that there's something wrong with the system. What does that mean? So the word deviant in this context means that anything that is out of the ordinary, anything that's stray away from the mainstream. So think about a father of 2 went into a bakery and stole a loaf of bread. On the surface, this is black and white. This is a bad person. If he was prosecuted, he wouldn't be able to raise his 2 daughters. How irresponsible he is. Well, that is if you just look at the surface level. Mm-hmm. Upon some investigation, you will find out that if he didn't steal the bread, his daughter would die out of hunger. Why were they struggling financially? Because he lost his job due to automation, AI. And then you investigate further. Oh, we have high interest rate. Maybe they bought the house and now they couldn't afford the house. Then you just unveil this entire poverty issue, unemployment issue, systemic issue that you've got to solve. But that's not what people like. People like to say, he's a bad person because he stole something. They refuse to look into the deeper stuff. And that's what I thought. I was like, these people, they are way more experienced than I am. How come that I, Jimmy, a newbie here, is giving them an opportunity that they have to thank me? That's weird. That's deviant. I got to investigate what the root problem is. And the more people that I interview, the more I realize because in the car industry, in the car scene, they were not given an opportunity. There's very few opportunities. And the people who are actually qualified to speak about cars, they were never given the mic. And that's when I started talking to more and more pros and journalists. And then I thought to myself, I was like, I can't film something just for the sake of filming. I wasn't there to film your race. So how do I tell the story of a racing driver? How about if I create a podcast? It's audio only. Some stories are best told through audio only. Little did I know, a year later, the podcast is what put Sociology of Cars really, really on the map.
Yeah.
We got a sponsor. We partnered up with 0 to 60. We pulled in thousands of views. I met you, Ryan, through the podcast. Nate, our friendship progressed, and we collaborated even more after the podcast launched. Yeah. And, and then we continue to do the breakfast event for people who want to be on the podcast, but maybe we've never met them. But through the breakfast events, we get to see who are listening. We get to, mingle with them. So there are so many accounts out there who claim to be for the people, including the influencers. A lot of these influencers, they used to hashtag like, oh, respect this, respect that, like drive safe, like love your community, whatever. As soon as they leave the mountains, it's almost as if the community does not exist. Because Nate, like we said before, the 4th of July accident with Connor's tragic passing, month after his tragic passing, we were still the first podcast that's ever even talked about what happened.
Yeah, no one really said anything really after that. Yeah,
nothing. You would think that these celebrities, if you truly care about the community, you should have talked about it the next day on your show. No, the next day it's like, oh, hey guys, we're in Miami for the latest Lamborghini launch. As if any of us can really relate to that. I don't care about that. I want to hear local news. How about that? But a lot of these celebrities though, they started their channel from reviewing other people's cars. They made themselves look so charming and so for the people.
That's how I started watching some of those channels, because I thought it's like I see somebody's build and it's an expression of who they are, right? And so, like to me, to watch videos of like a stock car being reviewed, it's like, unless I'm going to buy that car, I don't kind of care, like what times it does or whatever. But to hear somebody's personal build, that's interesting to me, like what they did to a car, whatever it might be. And so some YouTube channels kind of would do that, right? They would kind of go over, talk maybe with the owner. Oh, what did you do to your car? Then they would go like test drive the car a little bit. So I thought that was cool. And I started watching that. But going on like what you're talking about, a lot of social media is now just focused on the car. And cars are cool, but that gets boring for a bit.
Right. Because
the fun thing about cars isn't the specs, it's about driving them, So that gets boring after a while, just watching car reviews. I mean, some people might like doing that all day long, but to me, it's like, who's the people behind it? Like, okay, your build's very interesting, but now I want to know who you are. If I think your car's interesting, then I want to know who you are too. But I think the thing about social media is now it's people will buy a car just because it'll get views. And so the personality is not the person, it's just the car.
Right. And a lot of these influencers, when they reviewed people's car to start off, right?
Yeah.
They used, and let me stress the word, used people as a stepping stone to get press cars.
Oh, absolutely.
As soon as they get the press car and they get millions of followers, goodbye, I'm a celebrity now. And then their entire channel became an advertising arm for all the car manufacturers. They forgot about the people. They forgot about the community. And there are other people posting accident videos, perhaps, or criticizing other people's driving because they're novice. Yeah. And they claim that, oh, I'm doing this because I want to prevent tragedy from happening again. I'm like, my ass.
No.
Like, what did they do to actually educate the novice driver and make them better drivers? Nothing. I want to tell you this. If I made a mistake and you shame me and everybody attacks me, that can turn me off from the hobby, let alone helping me. Yes. I don't know which part of helping that is. So I'm just really proud. So how does that all of this link together, right? If you look through the entire history of sociology of everything, it's been 2 years. We're still young, but everything that we've been doing revolves around one theme: helping other people, giving people who are deserving the spotlight. I want to wisely allocate the views that we have to those who actually deserve an opportunity to shine. And so sitting there with you, Nate, watching, Ryan giving the seminar, as well as other seminars too, right?
Yeah.
And I was just thinking like, man, isn't this what we're always wanting to do? Isn't this the fruit of our labor? paving the foundation all the way for something like this to happen. And now we finally have a product that people can purchase and support us through tangible actions. And when I see people buying tickets to come to our seminar, I'm also thinking like, man, these people, they're actually supporting us. And this is what community building is all about. And kind of going back to the very first thing that we said, what a heartwarming scene. Because this is what the car community needs. And sadly, it takes us, a newbie that's only been on the block 2 years, to do something that other channels should have done.
Yeah. Like Ryan, how did it feel to... So you kind of come into the seminar. You hadn't really done anything like that before, right? Like teaching in a classroom setting.
Not in a setting like that, yeah.
So you get like these random people that signed up and they want to hear what you have to say. Did you ever expect to ever see them on the actual racetrack, like with you?
I didn't, honestly.
Like, how did that feel? Like seeing not just like one or two guys, but like a whole group.
It was very heartwarming. It was just it just solidified that our vision and our goals as to all of you mentioned, Jimmy and Nate, like what we are tired of seeing over and over again.
Yeah.
Someone gave us a chance. They showed up. They liked us enough to continue on this journey that we're all on, right? Learning. We love driving cars, right? But then they trusted in me enough to want to show up again. And sure enough, an 8.6 Cup. And not all of them drive that same car, but it was just such a warming feeling to see that trust was instilled in us. And then they also came through and they want to continue to come through because we just touched, this is the tip of the iceberg, right? The basics of fundamentals. So you're just scratching the surface. And then even with some of them that I did coach that day, I just showed them an introduction of what you can get up to once you spend countless times. Like I spent my entire childhood learning, seeking knowledge, watching YouTube videos, best motoring videos, the Drift Bible from Keiju Tsuchiya, driving a lot of sim time. Like that's a lifetime of me just accumulating knowledge. But then how did I actually do it? Like I didn't have a track near me. I had a mountain road nearby and I just started driving. Yeah. And even then there's a trial and error because you're like, oh, I'm not anywhere near where I thought I could be. But now you're just putting that reality to the knowledge and then you have to balance that out, right? Yeah. And even then it took me years to get to where I'm at now. But just seeing that someone respects that enough to listen and then also to trust me enough to want to continue on that journey, that's priceless.
And they trust us because we're solving a problem. Yes. And the problem is, like we said, most people are on the other side of the gate. Yes. The gatekeepers like to keep this away from you. They make you pay thousands of dollars. Yeah. But our solution here is that we're attempting to bust down the fucking door. And you know what? That day when I saw all the attendees, again, appreciate you all for coming. I see that we're kind of like Hunger Games. We all made it to the other side. We're here actually learning. And you know what? It's a very natural reaction to be like, you know what? When I was growing up, when I was learning, it was really tough. So why would I share my knowledge after all these years to people for free? It's very easy to think that way. Yeah. But the reason why we don't think that way is because we made a conscious decision. We don't want other people to go through what we went through. Yeah. How that's a giant step because you have to work against your nature sometimes, right? So when we are solving the problem, people believe in our vision. They vote with their views. They vote with their dollars. Yeah. And we all appreciate all of you guys listening who supported us so very much. Yeah.
Yeah. Because, you know, one of the problems of the things you were mentioning and some of these YouTube channels and things like that, it's they'll only feature or use somebody that they can use, right? If you're going to get views or if you can sell a product, if not, you have no place on my channel. So is it really about the people or about yourself at that point? You know, so I think a lot of people feel left out as drivers and owners, whether it's in the canyon carving scene or in the track day scene, you know, so to have something that gives them a voice and a learning opportunity, you know, I think that's pretty cool because that's really what's missing. You know, it's like, if your car's not that cool or expensive or whatever, like nobody cares about you. Goodbye. You know, or even when you do go up to a setting like Good Vibes, you know, like you don't have some fancy car, like go park out in the corner. Nobody's really talking to you or anybody really cares.
Yeah.
So and that's the majority of people. It's the majority that feel left out. And so to reach out to them and say, like, first of all, I think your car is cool. Some of the best conversations I've had on mountain roads is just talking to random people, asking them about their car. And like, you see them light up, and like they start talking to you about what they've done and all this. And it can be a car that maybe I haven't really been into or I'm not really knowledgeable about, but I like hearing people speak about their passion and engaging people in that, because that I could relate to. Like, I'm a car guy too, so I know what it's like to put cool wheels on and look at the car or whatever it might be, a different exhaust, and you're all listening to it. So regardless of what you're driving, I can relate to that. And I think that's just kind of what's missing nowadays, especially on social media. It's about how can I use you or your vehicle to get views versus, learning who you are as a person.
Yes.
And that to me is what's really more interesting, because people, it's interesting. A car, they're cool, but at the end of the day, it's, cars is not going to be your friend.
Right.
It's not going to really be fulfilling. And a lot of an issue is a lot of people buy these cars because they lack personality, and they think the car is going to give them a personality. Right. And that's not how it works. I like finding people that have a personality, and their car just happens to reflect that. Yeah. Like whatever it may be, but getting to know who they are, and like a lot of us have met each other that way. Look at us here. I drive a Vet. You got a GR86. You got a Miata. We have a friend with a GT3 RS or another friend with a Subaru. So, and a lot of times these communities just kind of stick to their own type of vehicle, and they are not interested in getting to know anybody else. But what's the fun in that? If I just talk to only Corvette guys, like how long and how many times are we going to just stand around and just talk about Corvettes all day long? Like, I know enough about Corvettes. I don't need to talk more about them. Yeah. I don't know that much about Miata. So what's up, Jimmy? Like, let me know about you. Like, that's what's fun to me as a car guy. So I'm happy that like we're trying to create an outlet for that.
Right. And very few businesses are about the people. As long as there are people, there's ego. So I can promise you this one thing. One magic of Sociology of Everything is that you come to any of our events, we've already vetted out all of the fucking assholes with our personal experience.
They hate us already.
So the people that we invite are already the nice, easy to talk to.
Yeah.
When I was still building this brand, I have to talk to everybody and be nice to everybody. Oh my gosh. It was extremely hard to talk to some of the influencers or journalists. They always give you that like stare. It's like, how dare you talk to me? Like, I'm superior than you. They're very hard to talk to. So I told myself very early on, I was like, when we make it, we're going to be different. I'm always super friendly, super open. You guys are all too, right? Yeah. That's our MO.
Have you heard the expression armchair quarterback?
I haven't.
So like it's like when people are watching sports like football and you're like, oh, how can you not make that throw? That guy sucks. Like, that guy's a professional athlete that would destroy you. You're a fat guy on the couch watching the game, right? So it's easy to just criticize.
Yes.
And that's what we see a lot of in the car community on social media. It's easy to criticize. Oh, look at this guy crashed over here. He wasn't even going that fast. And it's easier. How fast are you? Right. How good of a driver are you? But that's easy. So, right. So people will go do something that's easy. Oh, let's all point our finger and laugh at him. That's easy. And it gets views, right? Because everyone likes watching a train wreck. What's difficult, because it takes actually the wanting to help people, is reaching out and educating. That takes a lot of work, because now it takes planning. It takes dedication.
It takes a good heart.
It takes reaching out. Yeah, you have to want to do this. You're not going to get as many views, right, in a how-to video versus watch all these crashes videos. So you have to want to help people, and you have to be about that. Mm-hmm. So I think that I hope others get on board too, that are coming into social media with car content, of just creating more positive and beneficial content. You know, like, is this going to help people be better drivers? Like, we all like watching wrecks here and there, but at the end of the day, we need to put out more content that's beneficial.
Right.
And it's funny because, like, we were talking about cycling earlier, right? I've been getting into mountain biking. And so my algorithm, I'm like looking at all this bike stuff. But for some reason, Instagram's now like deciding to show me mountain bike crashes. And I'm like, why am I watching? Like, that doesn't make me feel like I want to go hit a trail, you know? Like, and I was laughing. I was telling my wife about it. I'm like, why doesn't Instagram show me like people having a good time on a mountain bike instead of crashing or breaking their legs? You know? But that's like, you know, the algorithm's just based on what people like watching.
Yeah.
So if you're on the other side of the spectrum, where you're a viewer or a listener, I would say try to engage more on educational stuff.
Yes.
Give your time and views to those people trying to teach you something, right? Or learn, instead of being like, oh, that guy sucks. And then how about you learn to be a better driver too? And then at the end, when you become a better driver, then that's how you can help others as well. Because, you know, there was once a point where we weren't that great. Not just say I'm great now, but where we were just beginning also. So never forget where you're coming from. Yeah.
Yes. I think coming from, just like you were mentioning, for me, always having that passion was within me, right? As early as I can remember. But seeking the knowledge, it was hard enough, finding the right source of information, but then now applying it, right? And then knowing where to apply it, what's safe, what isn't, what's proper. Fortunate for me, I didn't have, social media wasn't like that when I was learning how to drive. So I made a lot of mistakes and I've crashed a few cars.
But that's how you learn, man.
That's how you learn.
Yeah.
And honestly, like through those traumas of crashing and wrecks, you have to kind of shake it off and be like, you know what? I learned another way, or I found another way not to do something.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to fail a lot of times doing something that we like, but eventually it'll take that one time to do it right. Then we're hooked. Right. And we just keep on going. But in this culture, I think people like shame a lot and they put down a lot, and it's who's given birth to someone that's great, you know?
Right.
Like that isn't realistic. A lot of those people that are professionals took many years to get to where they're at.
Oh, yeah.
And even then, they still don't know everything there is to know, because things evolve. Some people become more innovative, or the product itself changes. Everything changes. So you just kind of keep adapting and keep growing.
Yeah. You know, you reminded me of something my dad told me one time. He said, you know, Nathan, it's after you have fallen up that you learn what it takes to get back up.
Yes.
And he says a lot of people that have never fallen don't know what that takes. And so it's easy to look at someone and say, hey, look, they fell. Right? Look at that guy crashed. But they now don't have the knowledge that you do, that you learned from crashing or from falling down, that you can now apply. So it's not about when you're going to fall or when you're going to crash. It's not about if, it's about when. Right. So anytime you fall down, you know, you learn to get back up. And it's the same thing with driving. We all have made mistakes. We've all had close calls. I wrecked a car one time myself. So it's, what did you learn from that? And then when you do have the knowledge, what are you doing with it? So if I can help you, right, not to make that same mistake I did, that's how things get better. And it's a chain reaction from there. So if we can all do that, right? If you come to a seminar, now you learn something. Now you can go help others, right? Or spread the word. Hey, I signed up here. You should too. Or that's how it starts. One person at a time, but hey.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, people vote with their dollars and people vote with their views. All the success that we have so far is because a lot of people see the merits in us. Yes. They agree with the philosophy. I always say that this is a revolution, that people want a change. Right. Speaking of revolution, we're going to have a rally coming up. It's a sociology rally where we're going to have some of these seminar courses weaved into it. It's a 2-day a 2-day trip, and we're going to go explore the Central Coast. We're going to stay in a very nice boutique hotel, and all meals are covered, all inclusive. You can bring a passenger. We have professional drivers tagging along. We have a photographer, a mechanic, and all kinds of lecture teaching different subjects.
Nice.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah, so that's our next milestone for really putting down all of this brain power to actually help the community.
Yeah. And just because sometimes people hear rally, and sometimes you see these rallies on YouTube or social media, and it's just like guys in supercars just driving all stupid or fast. But like this is a rally where we're going to focus on what we're about, which is car control, right? Having education, knowing how to drive these roads. It's not just about bombing them in fast cars. It's about actually becoming better drivers, going in a group setting and exploring some really fun roads. You know, think what you will about California, but we got some of the best roads and views in the country. So to be able to explore some of that's pretty awesome.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I just want to go back a little bit to touch on what you said about, some people already hate us, right? Because we're, we can be very direct about what our objectives are. And here's the thing though, hearing everything, because not everybody is familiar with our philosophy. But in this episode, we just laid everything out. Our goal from the very start was to speak out for the poor and the powerless. And the poor and the powerless is a metaphor for regular people. Regular people versus the 1%, the bourgeoisies, the gatekeepers, right? We speak out for the poor and the powerless. So being against sociology of cars is you being against poor people. It's you being against common people.
There you go.
Someone like that, who are those people? I mean, that's evil, right? That's
You know what? It sounds funny, but it is true. I mean, you do see a lot of that that has infiltrated the car community of kind of like these social classes and economical classes. And I mean, I've seen it with my own eyes. People that if they don't think you have as much money as they do, like they're not interested in being your friends. But that tells you the kind of people they are. You know, I don't care if someone's a millionaire or someone's broke. Like if you're a good person, you're a good person.
Right.
You know, I judge people based on their personality, not on their bank account or even their car. So, it's nice to find a group of enthusiasts that are like-minded, because we're seeing that way too much right now, you know, where it's just cars are being used as like this social status that has nothing to do with the actual passion of driving.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And that reminds me of that stepping stone topic that we talked about. So many people use people as a stepping stone to become celebrities. Here's the thing though. All of you listening and attending our seminar and rallies, you are not my stepping stone. You are the final destination. The bigger that we grow as a company, the more people that we can incorporate and help and shine the spotlight onto. So just so you know, we're not going to change. This is always our philosophy.
I don't know, man. Make a couple $1 million. You might not see me again, Jimmy. So
Gonna run for the hills.
You know what I find fascinating is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like we all share this kind of similar personality trait or even just feelings, right? Through all of us and our own journey, our own struggle, because we all have a different background, right? But for everything, you look back in the years that we've been around, to meet one another at this moment, at this time, I feel like it's pretty fascinating because, you know, if you believe in fate, but I believe that everything happens for a reason, right? But our trajectories all led us to this moment to where now we're in a position to where we can actually pay it forward.
yeah.
And what really drives me is knowing that I've always had this burning desire inside to want to help people. I always thought at some point I'm going to accumulate enough knowledge, if you will, or just understand things to a certain point to where I need to pay it forward because now it's beyond me. It's not about me anymore.
Yeah.
I don't think it ever was, to be honest. I feel like I'm in the Truman Show and I'm eyes on me, but I had to get to a certain level to where I can break out of this safe space I was in.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel sociology of everything is. Jimmy, you've presented this opportunity for me to step outside of my own space and expose myself to the world. But I put in the time and the effort, not knowing that I was supposed to be here at this moment.
Yeah.
And now that I am, it feels right. And it's just confirming everything from the seminars to the individuals that show up on track day to the DMs to the views and the likes. It's just confirming that people they want to see change, but they're acknowledging that we are genuine and that we're actually bringing something of value. And that just tells us keep on going because this is what people have been wanting to see. To touch on what you mentioned earlier, Nate, like seeing all these YouTubers, I've watched many of them for over a decade, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, why is it that they still haven't given back more? Like, I feel like they're in a position to where they can do a lot more, host seminars or meet people in person. Some of them do, but not most of them.
Right. Give them a job.
Give them a job, right?
Give a plug-in.
Use their connections to bridge that gap from the poor, the common person to these individuals, these gatekeepers that have been trying to gatekeep for so long. But honestly, there are people in the industry that want to help, but they don't know how to help. It's kind of like the more you know and the more you learn, it's almost as if you're like more overwhelmed of how to share now. Now you don't know where to begin. So thank you, Jimmy, for just giving us this platform, but also I feel like we're now in the point to where we can make change, and change is happening as we speak.
Yeah. And I agree with you, man. And I think the main point that you said was it's not about me like all along.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between those two type of people. The ones that they do it because it's about them and others because it's about a community.
Yes.
Because how fun is something when you're by yourself?
It's lonely.
Yeah. So when you make it about the passion of cars, the community, the people that come with it, that's more fulfilling because that'll last a lifetime with you. Friendships and all that. One day we're going to be old men, can't drive anymore. So what's it matter? But it's the relationships you build along the way. When it's all about you and you're stepping on people's toes or above them to get to where you are, at the end of the day, you're alone. Or, okay, for how long, how famous are you going to be as a YouTube reviewer? 10 days will pass. Another generation will come in. They don't care about you or who you are. So was it worth it?
Yeah.
Are you walking away fulfilled? Do you have true friends? Or did you just get along with other people and you were all just using each other? And now there's nothing to be used and you're by yourself. So that's what separates the people. It's those that do it for themselves and those that do it for a sense of community.
Right. And I would even lay out another stark contrast that we never talk about on the show. Those influencers, they're making a lot of money from selling merch and ad and this and that, right? Sponsorship. So far, Sociology of everything, we didn't make any money at all. Zero. Nate, this morning came to my house. It's an hour each way, right? Yeah. Sometimes with traffic, it's even more. You're driving more than 2 hours to come to the studio to record this in order to help the people in the community. The Canyon Car Mod episode, we got a lot of views. We're like, wow, this is so useful, so helpful. You drove so many hours, and I spent the whole morning cleaning the studio, setting everything up, brainstorming what my talking points are. All of that, we didn't make any money. We actually lost money.
Cost me money, man. I had to buy some beer.
Right? The beer, the gas, the time, the energy, and also not even mentioning my editing afterwards.
Yeah.
Hosting platform for podcasts, that requires a subscription service. Right? All of that costs money. We don't charge anything to our audience. We're doing this because we just genuinely love the community. And Shift, you're the same thing. You came to my house in the past, just 2-hour round trip. And when I was doing my 2 seasons, I went to 0 to 60. That's a round trip as well. Log my camera equipment around, log everything around. All of that is because we're so passionate. Yes. I mean, really, if you tell this to anybody, they will be like, you guys are fucking crazy. But we're so crazily passionate about helping the community that after doing all of this, we never complained. We never even flaunted.
It takes a little crazy to make an impact, I think.
Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, the message really is to pay it forward.
Yes.
Yeah. If you like listening to us and if you've gone to any of the seminars or want to in the future, the most important thing is paying it forward in terms of your personality. Go out there, make friendships, be a good, humble person, and just, we need to each as individuals start spreading that positivity amongst each other. That's how you defeat, what we've been seeing, the negative aspects of today's car community.
Right.
But it starts off by, you might think, no, who cares about me? I'm not that interesting or whatever. Don't think of it that way. You know, next time you go to a car meet, to Good Vibes or whatever, walk around and get to know people. You're not going to make friends with everybody or get along with everyone, but you might find one. I never would have talked to a little Asian guy in a Miata.
A little?
And look, now, well, to me, you know, and like now we're friends. Like, you never know, man. You never know, but you'll never get to find those individuals if you don't go out and get to know people. So spread the love, the positivity, pay it forward. If you have that knowledge, man, be open with it. Go help it. If you've done a dozen track days and you're out there, like, instead of thinking about how you look on social media, next track day that you're out there, go around asking people if you can help them out. Hey, do you want me to ride along? Do you need some tips? This and that, you know? I might not be the greatest driver, but I can turn a wrench. And so I help people out. Hey, you know, it's sometimes I'm at the track and I'll hear something's wrong with someone's car.
Right.
Or like they didn't take tools, or, oh, do you have pliers or whatever? Like, here, man, like, I help them out, or maybe you want to do this or whatnot. So if you do have that knowledge, you know, like you said, Ryan, don't be scared to share it. And that's the whole point of this, is just a sense of community, helping each other out, pay it forward.
Right. And if you see somebody crashing, please go send them a nice message asking them like, hey, how are you doing? Wish you a speedy recovery.
Yeah.
Don't stomp on someone's head when they're drowning.
Yeah.
You don't do that. That's not a community. Yeah. So think about all of the sacrifice, right? All of this giving back spirit. We still have haters. Mm-hmm. And I hate to even give them any time and energy at all. But you know what? I have a message for them too. Fuck you, motherfucker. Okay, I got
and on that note,
okay,
good now. All right.
On that note, I also want to add, you know, good or bad, supportive or not, like if you're adding to the problem, making the problem bigger, or taking it away, right? It's all of us are all in the same boat. If we think about it, our tracks are getting closed.
Yeah.
There's the law enforcement is taking it upon their own selves to handle it. Now the communities, the actual people in charge, like mayors and committees, are actually creating laws to prevent stuff from happening. Takeover people are ruining the community. But at the end of the day, all of them as a collective, we're all enthusiasts. We're all drivers. We admire cars for whatever reason it is. But if we keep adding to the problem, the people outside, the NPCs that look at us from outside in, all they see is, oh, they're a nuisance. Let's make them go away. That's why all of these places are closing. But if we're all bordered up in our own, we build walls amongst each other saying, oh, you don't own a Corvette or you don't own a Miata, then we're not the same. We're all the same because we're together as a collective. If we're stronger, we can actually help build the community and also keep a space for us to exist.
Yeah.
Because as long as we keep combating each other, we're going to dwindle out at some point. So that's why my want to pay it forward is for the greater good, because I'm hoping at some point my life will end. I'm hoping that I did something right to where I can continue the passion that I felt through others and encourage others to continue it. Whether it's just a weekend, you're a dad with 5 kids, you work at a 9 to 5 that you hate. Maybe the only bit of job, a light in your life is getting in your car, turning that on, going for a drive.
Well said.
Yeah.
Wow. So, that being said, we've been here for a while. So do we feel like we've covered mostly everything that we wanted to talk about?
I think so.
Oh, we can always keep going, but it was good. I think we got it out.
Yeah.
I think we got a lot of stuff out of our system.
I think so too.
I think you sure did, Jimmy.
Definitely did, Jimmy.
Yeah.
So see, this is our dynamic. We want to be genuine, energetic. We want to pay forward. We want to contribute. So if you're anything like us, come to one of our events, come to our seminar, listen to our podcast, watch Ryan's videos. What else do you have to add? Come to our rally.
Yes, we hope to see all of you soon. Now, as always, we're happy to have you guys listening to us. We're happy to have had Ryan here in the studio with us today. So as always, this is Nate, the beans.
And it's Jimmy, the rice.
Ryan's the black beans today.
Hey, glad I can be in the mix today. Thanks, guys.
It was a tasty dish, I'll put it that way. But thank you guys for joining us, and we look forward to the next one.
See you next week.